Good evening and welcome to tonight's broadcast. I'm your host, Jeremy Schultz, and tonight I have the privilege of sharing with you some insight into the rationale behind the RBA's monetary policy decision of today to keep the cash rate at 1.5%. On conference call, I have three board members of the RBA who will share with us some of the major economic factors considered when implementing monetary policy, including inflation, unemployment, and exchange rates. But first, as a little refresher, what are the RBA's goals concerning monetary policy? The Reserve Bank Board sets interest rates so as to achieve the objectives set out in the Reserve Bank Act, being the stability of the currency of Australia, the maintenance of full employment in Australia, and the economic prosperity and welfare of the people of Australia. First on the call is board member of the RBA, Sian Gillan, who will explain how the inflation rate is used as a measure when deciding monetary policy direction. So Sian, how does the RBA use the inflation rate to assist the decision of the official cash rate?
Well, Jeremy, that's an excellent question. The inflation rate is an indication of the levels of supply and demand in the economy, so by monitoring the inflation rate, the RBA is able to observe current levels of growth and contraction. A consistently low inflation rate indicates sluggish economic growth, and a consistently high one would indicate that economic growth is occurring at an unsustainable level. If the RBA observes that the inflation rate is consistently under their target band of 2 to 3%, they can choose to lower the official cash rate, which lowers the cost of funds in the economy, sparing an increase in consumption and spending. If the inflation rate is increasing rapidly, the RBA can increase the official cash rate, increasing the cost of debt and therefore slowing economic growth. By understanding the inflation rate, the RBA is able to implement effective expansionary or contractionary monetary policy, changing the cash rate so that the most efficient result is achieved and therefore promoting their aim of maintaining economic stability.
Next is Matthew Courtney, who will explain the importance of the unemployment rate to the RBA. Can you explain how the cash rate and the unemployment rate are interrelated?
The cash rate has an effect of unemployment, as a lower cash rate also lowers the cost of funds within the economy. With a lower cost of funds, business spending is increased, which leads to the business hiring more employees. So if the unemployment rate is too high, lowering the cash rate can help bring down the unemployment rate. Australia's unemployment rate is currently on 5.6%, which has been at similar rates since last year. This hints lower levels of economic improvement. However, in August, 54,000 new jobs had been created. This is over 3 times higher than what most economists expected. The major reason the unemployment rate has not decreased in the past few months is due to an increase in the amount of people in work or looking for work. While Australia's unemployment rate is not decreasing, the amount of people with work within Australia has been increasing at a good rate. The RBA would only change the official cash rate if business spending was too low and businesses were not able to offer enough jobs. However, with the rate of new jobs being created over the past few months, this is not the case, prompting the RBA to maintain the 1.5% cash rate.
And finally, Ethan Wozanowski, who will describe to us how the exchange rate comes into consideration by the RBA.
In regards to the exchange rate and the current export situation in our economy, we've decided it is in the best interests for the cash rate to maintain at the current level. This is due to the increased level of exports we have seen in the economy ever since the Australian dollar has depreciated from its $1.10 USD levels achieved in 2012 to the current 77-78 USD cent levels of today. If the current cash rate was to increase, we have deducted that this would increase the cost of borrowing for Australian consumers, thus restricting consumption in the economy and increasing the value of our dollar, as it is now more expensive to borrow and have access to. This would decrease GDP levels and hence decrease the RBA's goal of economic prosperity and welfare to the members of the Australian economy through decreased consumption, which would be unfavourable from our point of view.
Well, all things considered, it seems that the RBA puts a lot of effort into the analysis of the economic climate, not only domestically, but also internationally, when contemplating monetary policy decisions. I would like to thank our guests for helping to explain why the RBA has maintained the official cash rate at 1.5%, and I hope that the viewers at home have gathered some insight into the process of formulating monetary policy. From the studio, good night.